2 weeks ago, I was standing in my kitchen making coffee, and from the backyard, I heard someone whistling Camptown Races, the same song I always whistle when I'm doing something mindless. Same key, same little pause between the second and third bar where I always take a breath. My whistle, my exact whistle. But I was inside, and my mouth was closed. I served 26 years as a park ranger in the Siuslaw National Forest, Oregon. I've seen things that would make most people request a desk job: hikers who walked off cliffs in broad daylight, animals mutilated in ways no predator on record could explain, compasses spinning like tops in certain valleys for no reason. But the thing that ended my career happened in a place we called the Quiet Strip. It's a 3-mile stretch of old-growth forest between Mapleton and the coast. It's not on any tourist map. There are no trails through it. The Forest Service doesn't maintain it, doesn't patrol it, and doesn't talk about it. If you ask at the district office, you'll get a polite but firm change of subject. Here's what I can tell you. Sound behaves differently there. Normal forest has a background: hum insects, wind, water, birds. Constant. You don't notice it until it stops. In the Quiet Strip, it's already stopped. Your footsteps make no noise. Your breathing sounds muffled. And your voice is the problem. The first rule passed down from ranger to ranger since the 1940s was simple. Inside the Quiet Strip, do not speak above a whisper. Do not shout. Do not sing. Do not whistle. If you follow this rule, you walk through in 45 minutes and come out feeling uneasy but alive. If you break the rule, something hears you and it takes your voice. In September of last year, a hiker named David Chen entered the Quiet Strip. His car was found at a pullout on Route 126, his trail journal mapping a route straight through the restricted area. He didn't know the rules. Nobody told him. The Forest Service doesn't post warning signs because signs invite curiosity. I was part of the search team. 3 rangers, all veterans. We communicated in hand signals and written notes. We moved slowly. We made as little noise as physically possible. We found David on day 2. He was sitting on a fallen log, rocking back and forth. His eyes were open but unfocused. His mouth was open too, jaw stretched to its limit, like he was screaming at the top of his lungs. But no sound came out. Instead, something dark, a black mist, thin as cigarette smoke, drifted from his throat with every attempted scream. It floated upward and dissolved into the canopy, as if the trees were breathing it in. I touched his shoulder. He turned to look at me, and the terror in his eyes was so absolute that I almost spoke, almost said, "You're safe." My training held. I stayed silent. I held up my notepad. "Can you walk?" He took the pen. His hand was shaking so badly the letters were barely legible. It took my voice. It's wearing it now. It's out there. It sounds like me. I looked at the other 2 rangers. Hank Morrison, 20-year veteran, Pete Dawes, 15 years. Both had gone white. Because from somewhere in the trees, maybe 30 yards out, we could all hear David Chen's voice. "Hello? Is anyone there?" "Please, I'm lost. I need help." It was perfect. His exact voice, his exact cadence, the slight Portland accent. If I hadn't been looking at the real David sitting silently before me, I would have run toward that voice without hesitation. That's how it hunts. It takes your voice, the actual sound, the unique frequency that makes you who you are, and it uses it as bait. It calls for help. Other hikers, other searchers hear someone they know and they answer. They shout back. And the moment they make a sound louder than a whisper, it takes their voice too. We got David out, carried him, because 3 days without food or water had made his legs useless. 6 hours walking through dead silent forest while from every direction his stolen voice called out, begging, pleading, getting closer, then farther, testing us for a response. Hank almost broke. At one point, the voice changed. It stopped being David. It became Hank's 6-year-old daughter, crying, calling Daddy. Daddy, where are you? His daughter was safe at home in Eugene. He knew that. But hearing your child's voice crying in dark woods that breaks something in a man that training can't protect. I grabbed Hank's arm. Tears streamed down his face. He clenched his jaw so hard I heard his teeth crack. But he stayed silent. We made it out. David Chen never spoke again. Physically, nothing was wrong. Every specialist said the same thing: vocal cords intact, lungs fine, brain undamaged. He simply could not produce sound, as if something had been removed on a level medicine couldn't detect. He communicated by writing for 8 months. Then he took his own life. His note said, "I can still hear it using my voice, even in the city. At night I hear myself talking outside my window, saying things I've never said, having conversations I've never had. It's learning. It's getting better at being me. And I'm afraid that one day it won't need me to be silent anymore. It'll just replace me." I retired after that, moved to Bend. Quiet neighborhood, nice house, backyard with a fence and a dog, and the kind of boring American life that's supposed to make you feel safe. Then 2 weeks ago, the whistling. I went to the kitchen window. The backyard was empty. But my dog was on the porch, completely still, not barking, not growling, just staring at the corner where the fence meets the tree line. The way animals freeze when they see something their brain can't categorize. The whistling stopped. Then I heard my own voice from that same corner. "Come outside, the weather is beautiful." I haven't been in my backyard since. I sealed the back door. Every window stays closed. My dog won't go outside either, just sits by the door and whimpers. Every night around 2 a.m., I hear myself out there, talking, laughing, whistling, having conversations in voices I recognize. David Chen's voice. Hank Morrison's voice. Pete Dawes quit the service last year, and now I hear his voice too. It's not in the quiet strip anymore. I don't think it ever was just there. The quiet strip was where it was born, but it's learned enough voices now, worn enough people, practiced enough conversations. Last night it knocked on my back door. In my dead mother's voice it said, "Honey, open up, it's cold out here." I sat in the dark, hands clamped over my mouth, doing the only thing that's kept me alive. I stayed silent. But here's what terrifies me most. The thing that keeps me awake, staring at the ceiling, listening to myself, exists in 2 places at once. How long can I stay quiet? How long before I cough in my sleep, or cry out from a nightmare, or simply forget? And when it finally takes my voice, the last thing that proves I'm the real one, how will anyone know the difference? I walked into those woods as a 34-year-old man. I walked out 90 minutes later. But according to the rest of the world, 41 years had passed, and nobody, not a single living soul, remembered my name. My name doesn't matter anymore. Nothing about me matters, because whatever I was before I entered the Appalachian Ridge near Bledsoe County, Tennessee, that person no longer exists. Not in any record, not in any memory, not even in photographs. But I'll tell you what happened. Not because I want sympathy, because I need someone, anyone, to never make the same mistake I did. It was October. I was tracking a 10-point buck through timber so thick the GPS on my phone had given up 2 miles back. I wasn't worried. I've been hunting these mountains since I was 12. I knew every creek, every ridge, every hollow. Or I thought I did. That's when I found the tree. It stood alone in a clearing that shouldn't have been there. I'd walked this trail maybe 200 times in my life. There was no clearing, but there it was. A massive white oak, dead, stripped of bark, pale as bone. And hanging from every branch, on strings of dried sinew, were children's shoes. Dozens of them, maybe 100, little sneakers, tiny boots. Sandals so small they could fit in my palm. Some looked ancient, cracked leather, rusted buckles. Others looked new. One pair of pink light-up shoes still had fresh mud on the soles. I should have turned around. I reached out and touched one of the shoes, a small brown boot, hanging at eye level. The leather was warm, not sun warm, body warm, like something had just been wearing it. The moment my fingers made contact, the forest changed. It didn't change dramatically, that's what made it so wrong. It was subtle, like someone had shifted the saturation on reality by 1 single degree. The birds, I remember there were birds singing when I arrived. They all landed, every single one, and then they started singing the same note. One note, over and over, in perfect unison. I pulled my hand back. The boot swung gently, and I swear on whatever's left of my life, I heard a child laugh. Not from the tree, from inside my own chest. I started walking back, but the trail was wrong. Not gone, wrong. The turns were in the right places, but they led to places I'd never seen. Hollows that went too deep. Streams that ran uphill. I walked for 20 minutes and ended up back at the tree. The shoes were facing me now. Every single one had turned on its string to point the toe in my direction. That's when I noticed the sun. It was directly overhead. It had been late afternoon when I entered the woods. Now it was noon. I checked my watch. The hands were spinning backward. Not fast, just steadily. Like time was being rewound around me. I tried my phone. The screen showed a date, October 14th, the day I'd entered. But the year was blank, just a dash where the number should be. In my photo gallery, every picture I'd ever taken was still there, but I wasn't in any of them. Group photos with friends. I was just gone. A space where I should have been. I didn't sleep that first night, because night didn't come. The sun stayed directly overhead for what my body told me was 3 days. I know that sounds impossible, but my beard grew. My water ran out. My stomach ate itself. And that sun did not move 1 inch. On the second day, I started hearing whispers. Not words, more like the shape of words, the cadence of speech without content. It came from the ground, from the roots of the trees. They moved those roots, slowly, like worms, crawling over each other, braiding together into shapes. On the third day, the roots formed something. It stood at the edge of the clearing, 7 feet tall, maybe 8. A shape made of twisted wood and root and vine, woven together so tightly it looked almost like muscle, almost like flesh. It had arms. It had something like a torso. But where a face should have been, it wore my mother's face. Not a mask, not an approximation. Her face, her exact face, the way she looked the last time I saw her alive. Sunken cheeks, paper-thin skin, those blue eyes that had already started looking somewhere else. Somewhere I couldn't follow. She died in 2013. Pancreatic cancer. I held her hand at the end. And now she was looking at me from a body made of wood, and she was smiling, and she said my name in her voice, her exact voice, with that little crack she got when she was trying not to cry. "Come here, baby," she said. "I've been waiting so long." I ran harder than I've ever run in my life. Branches cut my face, my arms. I fell into a creek and cracked my knee on a rock. I didn't stop. Behind me, I could hear the sound of roots pulling free from earth, a wet, tearing sound, like skin separating from muscle. And over it all, my mother's voice calling my name, getting neither closer nor further away. I don't know how I found the road. One moment I was in darkness so complete I couldn't see my own hands, and the next I was standing on asphalt, blinded by headlights. A truck stopped. A man got out. He looked at me like I was a ghost. "What's the date?" I asked. He told me. October 14th. The year was 2065, 41 years. I gave him my name. He'd never heard of me. I gave him my address. The house had been demolished 2 decades ago. I asked him to look me up. There was no record, no birth certificate, no social security number, nothing. It wasn't that I had been declared dead. It was that I had never existed. My mother's grave is still there. I found it. But the inscription reads, "Beloved Mother." No mention of a son, because as far as the world is concerned, she never had one. I exist, but I don't belong to any time. Every connection I ever had, every friendship, every moment someone knew my name, it's been drunk dry, consumed, taken by whatever lives in that clearing. The old folks in Bledsoe County call it the God of Whispers. They say it's been there since before the Cherokee, before anyone. It doesn't want your blood. It wants something far more valuable. It wants the fact that you were ever real. And here's what keeps me up at night. Last week I was hiking, nowhere near Appalachia, Vermont. Different state, different mountains. I found a clearing, and in that clearing, there was a dead tree, and from the branches hung a pair of boots. My boots. The ones I was wearing that day in Tennessee. I looked down at my feet. I was barefoot. And from somewhere deep in the roots of that dead white tree, I heard my mother's voice. "Come here, baby. I've been waiting so long." I'm starting to think I never left that clearing at all. What I'm about to tell you has been verified by 4 geologists, a park ranger, and a county coroner who quit his job 2 weeks after examining the evidence. 3 of those geologists are now dead. The 4th won't leave her apartment. If you ever hike in the Cabinet Mountains of Montana and you come across a cairn, a stack of stones that looks like it was placed by human hands, do not touch it. Do not photograph it. Do not even look at it for longer than 3 seconds. Just turn around and walk the other way, because if you see one cairn, there are already more behind you. And they weren't there when you passed. We were a team of 5. University of Montana Geology Department, summer 2019. Dr. Alan Voss, our lead. Hannah Park, structural geologist. Marcus Webb, grad assistant. Lena Garza, cartographer. And me, the field photographer. That was supposed to be the easy job. We were surveying an unmapped canyon in the southern Cabinets. No trail, no cell service, no record of anyone ever setting foot there, which was strange for a canyon only 9 miles from a highway. The Forest Service had it marked on old maps as NFS No Further Survey. When Alan asked a ranger what that meant, the man just said, "It means we don't go there." He wouldn't elaborate. We went there. The first day was normal. Granite walls, loose scree, a thin creek running through the bottom. I took roughly 300 photographs, standard field documentation. It wasn't until that evening, reviewing them on my laptop, that I noticed the figure. Frame 112. A wide shot of the canyon wall, late afternoon light. And there, standing on a ledge about 40 feet up a shape, roughly humanoid gray, perfectly still. It could have been a rock formation except for one detail. It cast a shadow in the wrong direction. Every other shadow pointed east. This one pointed straight down, as if whatever cast it existed under a different kind of light. I showed it to Hannah. She zoomed in and her face went pale. "That's not a rock," she whispered. I went back through every frame. Photo 78, the shape was on the canyon rim further away. Photo 203 closer, at ground level, partially hidden behind a boulder. Photo 289 standing in our camp, 20 feet from where Marcos had been sleeping. In every single photograph, it was closer. And in every single one, none of us were looking at it. We would have seen it, Alan insisted. We were right there. But we hadn't. Because, and this is the part that makes my hands shake, typing this, it doesn't move when observed. It is perfectly, absolutely still when you can see it. It looks like stone because, for all practical purposes, it is stone when you're watching. But the moment you blink, the moment you turn your head, the moment your attention shifts for a fraction of a second, it moves. We found out exactly how it moves on the second night. Marcus went to relieve himself at 2 a.m. He walked 50 yards from the tents. He was gone 4 minutes. When he came back, his flashlight was dead and his voice was shaking. "There are cairns," he said, "everywhere." We all went out to look. He was right. In every direction, stretching as far as our headlamps could reach, something had built hundreds of stone cairns, 3 feet tall, perfectly balanced, arranged in concentric circles around our camp. They hadn't been there when we went to sleep. We'd walked this ground all day. It was flat, empty scree. Now it was a labyrinth. And at the edge of the light, a shape, tall, gray still, watching us with a face that wasn't a face, just a smooth plane of granite where features should have been. The moment all 5 flashlights converged on it, it looked exactly like a rock. Natural, harmless. Hannah blinked first. When she opened her eyes, the shape was 10 meters closer, same posture, same stillness. But now we could see details. Its surface wasn't smooth granite. It was stone-colored skin stretched over something that had bones in wrong places, too many joints, arms that bent in 3 places instead of 2. "Nobody blink," Alan whispered. "Try not blinking. Try holding your eyes open while every instinct screams at you to run." We lasted 90 seconds. Then Lena's eyes watered and she blinked involuntarily. 5 meters away, we ran, all 5 of us crashing through the labyrinth, knocking over cairns. But here's the thing about a labyrinth. It's designed to keep you inside. Every path curved back toward center. Every opening led to a dead end of stacked stone. And every time we stopped and looked behind us, there were more shapes. Not 1 anymore, 5, 6, 10. Standing among the cairns like sentinels, motionless, watching with blank faces. Marcus tripped. He went down face first into gravel. His headlamp shattered. In the sudden darkness, I heard him scream a short sound that cut off like someone pressed mute. When I swung my flashlight toward him, he was gone. In his place was a fresh cairn, stones still wet with something dark. We lost Lena next. She was beside me 1 second, and the next I heard the sound, a grinding, crushing sound, like millstones rolling over grain, and she simply wasn't there. Another cairn. The stones were warm to the touch. Alan, Hannah, and I made it to the canyon mouth by dawn. I think it let us leave. I think it chose who to keep and who to release. And I've spent every night since wondering why I was in the second group. Search and rescue found no bodies, no cairns. The canyon was empty, flat scree, granite walls. The official report listed a rock slide, but I checked my photographs. Every file taken inside the canyon was corrupted except one. Frame 441, the last photo on the card. I did not take it. My camera was in my bag when we ran. It shows the canyon from above in daylight. The entire floor, every square foot, is covered in cairns, thousands, tens of thousands, and among them stand figures. Hundreds of them, gray and stone-like, arranged in rows. Some are tall, some are small, some are frozen mid-stride, mid-crawl, mid-reach. I showed the photo to a colleague. He studied it a long time. "Those figures," he said. "The newest ones near the center where your camp was, they're about 5 years old, consistent with your timeline." He paused. "But the ones at the edges, near the canyon walls? Those are at least 10,000 years old. Whatever is in that canyon has been collecting people since before recorded history." I burned the photo. I moved to a city flat as a table, no mountains, no canyons, no hills. Then last month, walking to work downtown, concrete, glass, steel, I saw it. On the corner of 5th and Madison, someone had built a small cairn, 3 stones, carefully balanced. And in the reflection of the office building window behind it, just for a moment, a shape. Tall, gray, still. It's not in the canyon anymore. It followed me home.